Hello, everybody, and welcome to Total Annihilation Replays. I am Postal, your host, and today we have a special match, a return to some ancient history. We have Finland versus USA. That's right, revisiting and a rematch back on a classic controversial OTA game that happened and has also been casted on this channel. I figured it'd be good to put up this most recent addition to the series. We had the Olympics recently. As we kind of call this is our little TA World Cup. So we got everybody back together. Well, no, not really. Teams are a little different this time. So representing the good old USA in the top, you have USA Postal, and that would be me, of course. Over here on the left, we have the capital BEST, Divine, and he will be in blue up here, playing arm. Bottom left, we've got Metn of the Tag Clan, representing Finland. And then also, of course, there's no Finnish team is complete without Tiptushi. There we go. In red. So the map is John's Pond. This is the updated version of it here that was rendered by Rock, so it actually looks really, really nice if you haven't had a chance to check it out. So it's very similar. Ulaks here, mountains, of course, and the pond in between everyone. So I say going bomber, one con, then reclaim. So you can see here what I'm doing here. Got 3 winds down. And Divine is going to fly. Of course, they're going to be speaking Finnish, but I actually don't have the translation this time. Tips suggesting 4 to 5 cons, and then going to C is what I believe that he's going to do. So Divine sets his share energy really low, so he's giving me the energy, so that way I can go ahead and get this bomber out right here. So game clock right now is at 1. Yep, and it sounds like after that they're going to go Pelicans, to which Tiptushi says, I believe that's pronounced you? I don't know. Divine says I have allied chat on. So that was basically the same thing that Tip was saying down there. So yeah, my thought is here, go bomber, and then get that con, and then go pick up as many Ulaks as we can. So Tip's already got two cons out, but you can see here absolutely no air defense. So Tip says air. This is a 146 when the bomber arrives. Hit the wind, hit the radar. I'm very happy to see that he has nothing by way of air defense. So I go for the E, figuring that'll make it harder for him to throw down a missile tower, although Metn can just share me, but you can see Metn's bar is empty too right now. So Tip is in serious trouble. He's trying to throw down a missile tower. Got the Jethro out. So, and I have the aircon complete. At this point, I'm busy bombing, although you can see I just jumped back up. I sent the bomber off screen, and then gave the next commands for my guys. So now Tip is completely bombed out here. He's got a full E-bar, though. And he's going ahead and reclaiming. Instead of getting the 4 to 5 cons he was looking for, he's just got the 3. Divine here, he's got 4 cons, and he looks to be reclaiming his K-Bot lab at this point. And I decide I'm going to go a second bomber here. So I realize how successful that was, and I kind of want to keep up the pressure. There you go, and I'm stealing the Ulaks. He does have this Jethro, so he could actually move in there. And I wipe out some Mexes. So I managed to steal the majority of their Ulaks. And at this point, the game seems decently... Yeah, Divine says, we're winning as of now, I think. So, Team USA in the lead at this point. I said I gave him the medal because I didn't want to access as I was reclaiming that air lab right there. And I had already had a lot of metal in the bank because I stole the Ulak trees. So yeah, Divine's got a lot built. I don't have very much built, though, so that's the one thing. And I'm just trying to control these mexes here. And I should have bombed that, but I did not. Tip working on his E. Divine pointing out my idle cons. I'm busy getting some air defense up myself in case they decide to go air, but you can see they're both going C at this point. But Divine already has a really, really strong lead. Metn was a little slow getting in the water, and the fact that he had to put up all these missile towers really had a lot to do with that. So that's just the power of air, especially if you get a good bomber on it, and bombing tip out certainly helped. Now at this point, I'm just trying to say, okay, I need to catch up in the resource department. And Divine is coming down to apply some pressure and raid the mexes. So I push out 3 cons here. I think I get a 4th. Yep, working on a 4th, and then I'll be reclaiming that and getting wet, going for a swim. See, at this point on the skeet count, Divine's just really, really far ahead. Now this is going to help, having like a missile tower on land. Whenever you're worried about falling behind, and you let's say on this map or similar sea maps, and you committed too much to sea construction or land construction, then it actually makes it a little harder to win in the sea. But you can kind of think about converting some of that into sea power, essentially by putting guns on the shore and then pulling your guys back and defending. I asked for him to share these mexes because I knew I was going to be battling in the sea, and I actually need a little resource to do that. So we can take a look here. So you can see I'm about the same amount of metal as Metn and Tip, with Divine way ahead because he just had all this free time to build completely unharassed. So Divine coming in here, grabbing that con. He left about the same amount of metal, so it ends up being kind of a break even from a metal standpoint, but from a time and searcher standpoint, it's Divine's just up. So he's over here, he's got Tip controlled now, and so now Tip is going to have trouble coming out. So Divine being a solid teammate here, sharing the mexes. I tell him the mind hovers, but I don't see any. I didn't think they had enough metal for it at this point, considering that they were in the sea. Tip now battling with the con. And we're out here grabbing all of these sea mexes. Metn getting his geo up. You can see we're not doing that right here. So that's another thing you can do, is if you're feeling like, okay, I'm behind in the sea, what can I do? I can get my resources going up on land. So Metn farming wind down here. The thing I do with my air cons is put a radar up on the hill, so just giving me more information. Now, Tip has numbers on me, so I need Divine to come over to actually help if we actually get into a scuffle. But Divine is really far ahead of Metn in the sea category right now. Divine bringing a sub down. This is a lurker. Increase the speed just a touch. You see Metn quickly countering. He's got a decent amount of metal in the storage right here, so he's using his commander to hose us out. And there you can see he's blocking with a dragon's tooth, a shark's tooth, and his construction ship. So I back up. Metn calls out the sub. At this point, he's currently working on one of his own. And Tip can share him the metal real quick. And Divine is able to swoop in, and he's going to be able to get both of these construction units. Really big hit to Tip. So this is going to get done likely on time. Nice little nano blocking by Metn. The only downside, of course, is while he's busy doing this, gets the sub. But while he was busy doing that, he wasn't able to defend Tip. So now there's all this metal that's here. I've got these, got air cons up, able to go in and reclaim things. And of course I have idle cons because it would not be a game with me without having some idle cons there. So this night, Finland looks like they've recovered a little bit, but we're just pretty far ahead. So Divine hands over these skeets because he wants me to be able to pressure. He can't really pressure Metn, especially with that sub right there, because all Metn has to do is push it out. You can see Divine is stopped building skeets, and he's focusing on getting his advance. If you've played games with Divine, you know he absolutely loves pelicans. He announces, yeah, Metn has a sub. I ask if he needs metal, and he says no, so he's not countering it. And say I'm also going advance. Yep, and so Tip is basically saying Divine's going to go Pels. This is a nice little metal deposit right on Tip's shore. I kind of have to contest it. I can't let his sea cons come out and get it, but he is able to walk his commander underwater and pick up a lot of the metal. So here Metn's little wind farm is getting nice and big, although I'm doing very similar here, although I don't have enough of it being converted into energy, into metal. I'm just keeping up the pressure. Metn's bringing in his sub in an attempt to secure the wreck field here. I've got to pull back. Nothing I can really do against that sub until I get a destroyer out. And at this point, I'm pushing my advanced. Because I want some advanced resources. Sub's actually doing some serious work here. 3 kills so far, and one of them is a sub. I noticed that the wrecks were disappearing, so I swing my skeets down there to tag the con, and then back up before the sub comes over and blocks me. And in comes Divine's Pelicans. That's one of the things is Divine gets his Geo up. He's working on a second Geo, so he's putting down a Moho. He's asking me to share E, which makes sense. He sees that I'm not using it. So I go ahead and I get that E share set up, and then now he can fully charge and power his Moho. Get another one of Tip's cons that comes out. Metn pulling a sub back to defend against the Pels. And Tip's just not at all in the water. So my advance is up here, and Tip's own advance is up, and Metn is finishing his up. If you have enough searchers, you can just get them close, use the lasers, and they'll blast the Pelicans down with the lasers. Pelicans usually are considered a hard counter. You get enough of them, the searchers aren't going to be able to do it. Again, I catch another con out. And I start working on my Crusaders. You can see Tip doing here what I was talking about, getting these missile towers up, converting kind of his land build power to help control this wreck field. Metn pushing out some gimps. You can see he's got a con out. He's reclaiming that metal extractor. He wants mohos. Same thing that we got going on up here. Divine already way ahead, though. 2 mohos up. Using his sub again. Manually targeting. Check out those pelicans. Seven kills now. I spy yet another con. Tip's making a fake commander here. This guy is just to go walk underwater and start cleaning all this up. And that's really something I should have thought about. These missile towers with these little features right here, they're well positioned. I need to get my destroyers close enough to be able to shoot them. But the destroyers and the missile towers have about the same range, so there would be a good chance that my destroyers would get wrecked. And another con goes down. It's like as soon as he sends it out, and I don't know if it was just, you know, I noticed 1 or 2 that would go down. Okay, here we go. We got Metn coming over to try and bail him out. You can see he's kind of got the angle. So I'm trying to pressure in so I can try and take down these shore defenses. I see Metn coming over. So at this point, I say, okay, well, let's see if we can lock Metn's guys in, because I know Tip doesn't really have anything that can come out. I know that my searchers can't really fight the gimps. And Divine says, I got hawks, so he's got the dirty birds. No air from over here. I say, okay. Metn trying to surround these. Nice little move here. I don't really like bringing in the hawks this early. That's not like how I tend to play, is I tend to like to build up a decent number and surprise them with it. And rather than announcing that I'm air, and then just giving them that information that, oh, I'm aired, and I've only got 2 hawks, meaning that now I'm kind of at my weakest because I've invested not only in the Farks, whatever that takes to build, but also the cost of the plant itself. But Divine's just so far ahead in resources at this point that I don't know if it'll cost him. You can see right here, battle 43,000, whereas I'm just even at 23, so Team USA up by a significant amount of metal at this point. Metn taking advantage of the fact that, again, Divine went air, and therefore is going to have less in the water. Divine asking for energy. This is a classic best behavior. Now I'm actually using my energy. So I say I'm sharing. I actually shut down my my metal makers. That is because I didn't realize that it was just he wanted more E for his mohos. Come in, try and take out some of Metn C. Here's that fake commander doing a bunch of work. Yeah, hawks are not efficient against searchers. You need a lot of them before they really start overpowering them. So I'm also getting my advanced air up. You can see Tip has done much the same, so he's getting his bombers going. I've now got 5 destroyers. Playing kind of the more classic John Spawn strategy here. Get the destroyers up and then push in. Spy the fake. I move this around. Although I don't bring my destroyers in. Although I knew just from its positioning, I was like, oh, that's a fake. See, I've got my little Moho crew going. See, Metn here, they don't have all their Mohos capped. Although Tip's doing a decent job. Actually, yeah, Tip's got all his capped at this point. So you can see he's doing actually, well, very similar to me. We're right around 50, Ben's at 42. This is the problem again with sending those Hawks out early. He hasn't been able to build up a swarm. Although he has been doing damage with them, so. I say Tip is air. At this point, my air defense is super weak, so I realize I need some air defense. So what I do is I take one of these Necros with really good build power, and I have it guard a T1 con, so that way it can hose out a bunch of missile towers really fast. Tip going for a bombing run. He's got all of these marked here. Swings in, bombs a Moho. And Divine flies his Hawks in. Any air. He gets it, and it unfortunately does not leave a wreck. Gets another Moho. That does... I said we gotta bomb back or we lose. Which isn't entirely true, because Divine's just really far ahead. And you can see just on the unit count now, in the middle here, I've got a significant amount of destroyers. I take out the Seacon, and at this point I start pushing in. I know I've got kind of critical mass in the destroyer part, and the fact that Tip did go advanced air tells me that he's not as heavily invested in the sea. Take out his C, and I'm like, okay, good, now I can press in. Tip, bombing the ships. And I see that he's got this gun over here, and that I do need to clear that out. Marks the flag, but then I've got too many destroyers on his ambusher there. Did distract me, pulled me away from here, so now he's got his pals coming in and closing the distance. And Metn is coming in trying to trap. So I have to pull back at this point. Tip's got plenty of Hawks too to keep me out. But you can see now his shore defense battery that he had there, and all of his C has been destroyed. Unfortunately, the cost was leaving a ton of wrecks there for him. I say, bah. I was hoping that push would do it, but now there's a ton of metal on Tip's doorstep, giving Team Finland the opportunity to make a comeback. At this point, I think Metn's at around 70 or so metal. And I'm falling behind here. I need to turn my my makers back on. Actually, no, never mind. I got this going. So yeah, I opened things up pretty strong here with the bombing, and that really helped put Divine ahead. But at this point, I'm barely keeping pace with Team Finland. But again, they've been focusing on my attacks, and they really haven't touched Divine at all. So you can see he's just getting bigger and bigger. He's working on a fusion here. Second advanced. Tip working on his own fusion. So, and that's what he's doing. He's basically taking all these wrecks that I left him right here, and he's just taking them, turning them straight into a fusion. So now I've got a flak, and I've got a whole bunch of missile towers, so much better air defense. I say bombers coming, which actually isn't true. But you can see Divine comes over, flies his Hawks to cover. Good team play there. Now Divine's got a decent number of Hawks here. And I kind of see that too, that basically what I got to do is control. And I want to come grab as many of these wrecks as I can too. I don't want to let them get, let Tip get them. I'm also building up a bunch of rapiers. When it's tough, when they're being really defensive, go to the skies. So I come flying in. My goal here is just to take out his mohos. And what I can get. See, he's flying in. Flying in his Hawks to take him out. I say tip his Hawks. Got 2 mohos for my trouble. You see at this point now, Divine's lead over Metn is really starting to come into play. At this point, I convert to bombers. It looks like, yeah, I've got a few vamps, but I know it's tough to kind of do what I was doing there with the rapiers because I was took out both anti-air, the missiles he had back here, and then went to go for the resources. So, but you can see right here, Divine pushing in. Really Metn not having an answer over here on this side. He's trying to go advanced and also working on an Intimidator. It's halfway done, but he needs more defenses. Tip flying his Hawks over to help. And so he's got I wonder how much this is done. Yeah, 12 kills for this shooter on the shore. Nice little mobile annihilator. And those work really well too against the heavier ships because of the damage that they do. See Divine here just slowly using his Pels for the line of sight so that way he can take maximum advantage of his Hawks so he can slowly build up his range. I mean, his advantage. Nice thing too about Hawks is they don't leave wrecks. Continuing to build up my sea forces again. Metn now completely without his start. One little flak over here from Metn. So that'll cause a problem for him. You can see he's just slowly crawling in here. Divine points out there's a commander. Metn going for the sea. Tip flies in to give him cover. And getting your commander with just his head sticking out of the water means you can degun. I say I got bombers for comm. At this point, I am totally blind. So I actually don't know where the comm is, but I'm kind of estimating. Oh, there you go. So Divine just spies him. And at this point, I'm just going to estimate where I think the comm is going to be based on how the pace that the commander walks. And I managed to nail it. All the way down to red. I realize the weakness over there, so I'm going to shift my my forces in that direction. I got more bombers on the way. I got another advanced air up. This is just a massive thing to be walking into, though. All these missile towers here. And the shooter, too, with a gazillion kills. Metn working on getting the Intimidator. That's what they want to do. Again, Divine has been untouched the entire game, so this would be the one thing that could actually potentially take him out. Metn marking the comm. He says, hey, don't die. I don't know why Divine would say that to me, but... So here you go. So I move my ships in, taking out the anti-air. You can see Divine getting a little greedy here because this flak, 12 kills, really blasting his Hawk Swarm at this point. So you can see, you have enough destroyers, you can even overwhelm the missile tower, a ton of missile towers like that. So Tip, 1 fusion down, 2 fusions down. You can see his economy is really starting to come alive, but Metn just needs to hold on before in order for him to do anything at all. Now this. I have no line of sight here. I'm just guessing, and I drop the bombs right on his head. So, and Divine, of course, in classic Divine best fashion, says yawn easy, even though. Maybe it was easy for him. It certainly was a lot of work for me. So I dropped the bombs on Metn's head, and victory looks almost certain for Team USA. I do say that was blind. I just estimated where I thought his comm would be, and dropped the bombs on it. It was actually quite glorious. So he's got some scouts here, and he's got some torp bombers. He is planning on finding and killing a commander. He comes flying in, but he doesn't have sonar. So yeah, he could have gotten it right there. But these guys, once you find it, so he sees that dot underwater and he clicks, but they didn't have the run-up time that they needed to be able to do it. So I moved my commander away just in case he is trying that kind of thing, but because his torp bombers had to fly over here, I had Vamps, took things out. Tip says GG. And game 2 on John's Pond, the rematch, goes to Team USA. So no sueme perché le Finland. I believe that was how it's, that's my horrible Finnish pronunciation. So Tip will make fun of me later for that. But not this time. Instead, it is good old-fashioned USA that wins this one. So, I guess Finland's more old-fashioned, isn't it? Anyway, let's see if we can get to the resource screen here. Yeah. So it was a really exciting game. It's fun when you get to go air like that and catch them off. You can see right here. In the end, this was just the big difference maker right here. The fact that Divine untouched for the majority of the game. Yeah, sure, I was even with Tip, but there was no way that. And the reason why it's showing Metn further behind is he died sooner. Although I don't know if it was that. And then Tip also went fusions to crank his economy later in the game. But so yeah. So this tells the story here, and so I'm sure there'll probably be more of these. We may need another grudge match, and so we'll see who I can find to be on Team USA. But Divine was he was a good partner, so he did well, and then of course Metn and Tip play very well too. So great game, guys. Glad we were able to get this one in. It was fun to revisit some fond memories from the past. So all right, if you have not subscribed already, make sure you do so. And I know this game is less controversial than the previous USA versus Finland, but if you have any comments or thoughts that you want to add below, make sure you do that. And I will catch you all in the next video. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.